Good evening, Ride Property community. Good evening to everybody on this lovely Tuesday. We're really, really honoured and super, super stoked to have the one, the only, the Mr. Paul Tinker in the house this evening. He is going to be talking about all things construction and training, or we're going to be hopefully teasing it out of him. Paul's massive in both industries, both construction and training. He's certainly somebody that Steph and I have been following since the beginning of our journey. I genuinely think you're freaking awesome, Paul, and I have pretty much hang off every single word you say. We're actually booked into Paul's one of Paul's training courses coming up in the new year. It was meant to be before Christmas, but life's got in the way, so we're going to jump on in the new year, which we're really, really looking forward to. So I'm just going to hand over quickly to Steph.
Yeah. So I think to start, Paul, if you wouldn't mind, if you just tell us your full name, where you come from, and in one line, what you do.
It's not blind out.
My full name's Paul Michael Tinker, and yeah, my initials are PMT.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I thank my mum for that. I'm from Rotherham originally, in South Yorkshire, and I joined the military when I was 19, so did the old squaddy thing and went around the world, and then when I came back, it was, right, where should I live? Because I ain't going back to Rotherham, so it literally was, that'll do. And I ended up in Scunthorpe, well, just outside of Scunthorpe. I live in a little town called Brigg now. And what else did you ask me?
Just a quick snapshot. We're going to
it was, what do you do right now? So can you say in one line what you do right now?
In one line?
Yeah.
Are we talking professionally or on a Saturday night?
You can pitch it if you want. It's you.
Professionally. So I am a construction business owner that trains property strategists how to deliver an effective, efficient, compliant project. That was good. I'm stealing that. That was my own.
That was a mic drop moment.
And Scunthorpe, does that make you a codhead? Is that right?
What? That's Grimsby and all.
Oh, is it? So what do they call people for Scunthorpe?
Scunnies.
I don't know.
I've been told I can't swear. I've got
right. You can swear. There's no beat machine required.
Cool. My beat machine's on blink. No, I don't actually know. What do they call them? I don't really know. I know that they say surgery, which is mega weird.
Brilliant. I think before we drop into the questions, sorry to interrupt. I'm just gonna say it. I say it every time we go on the StreamYard post live stream. If you're watching, which there's definitely people watching because I can see you watching, and you want to ask a question or you want your name, your beautiful face to appear, your profile picture on the screen, which is just a really nice interactive way to do it, which is why we like this platform. Just click the link in the narrative of this particular post and it will say allow StreamYard to show your pic and your photo and your name. Just literally takes 2 seconds and then we'll see your questions. And don't forget, we'll make it interactive, so drop some questions in as well.
Awesome. Right,
shall I kick off then? Kick off.
So you look super busy all the time, Paul. You've obviously got different businesses going on. You do a lot on social media and all that. So can you tell us what a typical week looks like for you and how you divide your time up?
I know I look busy. No, I am genuinely. Typical week for me is I have a planner and a journal, and my days are scheduled out to the I won't say to the minute, but to the hour. I have a strict morning routine that starts every day. I'm up at 5 every day. There's no alarm. It's just what time I get up. I get up from that. I sit and I take on a litre of water first thing. This is just part of my morning routine. And then I read 10 pages of whatever book I'm reading at the time. Then I prepare my food for the day, and then I jump in the motor and go off to the gym. Come back from that, generally about 8 o'clock. I get down to the office just after 8 for when the guys are getting there. And then it's some engagement in my coaching groups, engagement on my own personal social media profiles. And then I set about planning the content for the day, for what I'm going to do for the day. So I set out the day. Every morning I plan my day. So today was, if I just go to the journal today, I had a 5-mile walk. Then I had 2 interviews. I picked a really shit day. I had a fucking tattoo yesterday. That was shit, wasn't it? I was in the house for 3 hours.
Can we get to see it?
It's still a bit sore.
Oh, it's a big one.
Nice, decent. No messing about. Paul, with your routines that you do, is that kind of we're going to talk about, your previous career before, and you've already mentioned it in your intro anyway about being in the military and stuff, and that kind of, that discipline kind of schedule. But has that come from like a 12-week year, or kind of the Midas method or Miracle Morning, or have you picked that up along the way, I guess, from being influenced from those books and platforms, or is that just naturally come to you?
What, the morning routine specifically?
Yeah, just because, obviously for you, that's very routine based. That's from my experience of like joining the Navy at 16, that makes sense to me. But I guess, do you think it is your military background that's brought that out in you, or is that?
I don't think that's brought it out in me. What it's given me is the discipline to stick to it. So the idea, I did a training about where are we now? 2020 September. In fact, it's coming up for 2 years ago. With Stephen Green. I don't know if you know him. He's a property trainer in the Northeast. I did some training with him. And he's very much into a routine and planning out your time. He's big on the 80-20 principle. And that's where it started for me. That's where the whole mindset journey started for me. I went on this training, and I learned about how that will help you develop and help you progress and plan your day and be productive with your time, etc. That kind of fell away towards after about 14 or 15 months. I started to lose the power of it and lose the benefit of it. Then I invested in another coach, and the coach that I'm with right now, he's massive on it, and that's where I'm at with it. I think you should always have a coach. They're the one person that are going to hold you to account and always be poking at me every morning. If I don't do something that I've said I'm going to do, then it's getting called out straight away. And I'm the same with my coaching clients as well.
So it sounds like you're quite a morning man. Is that a natural thing? Like, is that when your energy is optimal? Because I know a lot of people, have to really kind of try to they're almost forcing themselves into kind of doing that Miracle Morning and getting up at 5, and it's not necessarily in their kind of psyche to do it or in their routine. Are you just naturally a morning guy?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, and I get that when I see people that say, "Oh, you've got to get up at 5 a.m. to be successful." That's bollocks. If I get up at 5, I'm in bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. It's just that just my day's shifted to a different period. Them that are getting up at 8 o'clock can just be as successful by working from 8 o'clock in the morning until maybe 3 hours after when I'm in bed. They might be working from 8 until 11 at night, say.
Yeah, definitely. When you're most efficient and energy levels and optimal kind of
So what happens on your weekend then? Are you still up at 5, or you're working, or do you have downtime?
I don't work. I get up at 5 and I schedule out. I call it fun and recreation. So I do schedule it out still. I still put it in the planner. I'm out on my motorbike, or I'm out in Lisa's car, or I'm off out on the boat, or I go for a walk, or I'm always at the gym. I go to the gym every day. Playing with the kids, whatever that is, but it gets planned out. It's not something that I allow to happen. It's something that I make happen, if that makes sense. So, as I said, the coach that I'm with now, he has this mantra that if you don't fill your day with high priority tasks, then your time will be filled for you with low priority tasks, usually by other people. So I just take control of my day, and it's interesting what you said about energy. Is that when my energy is in the morning? So I'm high energy all the time. Obviously, you have your low moments, but I think you get to choose how much energy you have, and I think it's an easy thing to shift. Energy is created by your state, and if you can use some techniques to change your state and therefore lift your energy, I think you can always have that feeling, always.
I mean, I wasn't going to ask you this. We weren't going to ask you this, but I know from following you that you've given up alcohol. You've been completely teetotal for, what is it, 2 years?
Totally. Nearly. It's 2 years on the 22nd.
Yeah, which I mean, that's incredible. And I guess that you must have seen an absolute kind of rocket powered kind of change in your performance, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was. I didn't even realize that that there was anything wrong, that I had an issue. There was no trigger. There was nothing. It was just one day, you know, I woke up and it was, I've got to knock this on the fucking head. You know, it was 5 pints of beer, a bottle of red wine, and half a bottle of Jack every day. And you get to that point where it doesn't make you pissed anymore. And I was finishing work at sort of 2:30, 3 o'clock, shooting off to Wetherspoons to get the 5 pints in before Lisa came home from work.
See?
Then it was get home ready for the wine when she brings the wine in. And then it was on the Jack, and I just drink myself to sleep. You don't realise I didn't realise at the time that I had a problem. And until you have that awareness, I don't think you can do anything about it. I think that's one of the things where people get addicted. You know, that's another subject I like to talk about, the word addiction. But yeah, until you're aware that there's something that needs to change, then you can't change it, and B, you don't see the need to change it.
We're like, sorry, we're kind of just going off on a different tangent here, but with regards to that alcohol side of things, do you think that was linked into military life? Because, you know, for those that don't know, the civvies out there watching, you know, you can get a bloody pint for about £1. You can get a double G&T in the mess bars and in the military bars for about £1. And so, you know, was that something? Do you think that was kind of the catalyst for you, or?
I'd like to blame the army, but you know, I can only blame myself. You know, I've got to take responsibility for the situation I found myself in. But as that being a catalyst into where I found myself, I always struggled with drinking in the army as well. You know, I didn't struggle with it, but you know, I got a serious injury in the army, and they made me squadron barman, which was fucking dream. You know, as you do, put the biff behind the bar and you can have a beer. So I was pissed every night. I ended up in a clinic when I was in the army, and I left, and I was in a clinic again. Then I left. So I've always had that sort of struggle. You know, I was always the troop clown, dicking about and messing about with my mates, and you know, drinking pints of piss and all the rest of it. I was a good soldier when I was sober. Then when I left, that didn't really continue. I sort of got. Towards the back end of me leaving the military, I went into security and close protection briefly, and when I was in that, it was part of that you know, everybody was in good nick. So I trained hard then, and I was probably in the shape of my life in my would have been my early to mid 30s. So I did cut out the drink then for quite some time, about 6 or 7 months, which was a long time for me back then. But it was conscious, and I struggled with it, and I really fought it every single day. I got to the end of that period, and then left the military and moved up north, where I was going to go into my construction career. And the construction industry is very much like the military. You know, it's very male dominated. It's very male orientated. It's very sexist sort of industry. Very full of bravado and you know, guys on tools, and that's just how it is. And I went through the rank structure in the construction industry and became one of the leaders of a construction business. And with that role, I was flying around the country, so I didn't have to drive. And I was going from city to city on planes. So I was going Glasgow and I might be flying down to Cardiff. Then I might fly over to Ipswich, then back down to London, back up to Scotland. And because of this, I was always in hotels, always in service accommodation, or on the plane where the booze was free. So I just became a pisshead again. And that took me to sort of the start of 2018. That's when I chucked that in. I threw that career away and went to work for myself, you know, thinking that was the reason I was drinking. But it wasn't. That wasn't the reason. It was the thing I held responsible at the time. When you leave and look back and sort of, I hate the word reflect, but when you look back and go, do you know what? It wasn't the job, it was me. You know, they were decisions I was making. I was choosing to walk down the booze aisle in the first place. I was choosing to put it in the trolley. I was choosing to take it home. I was choosing to open it. I was choosing to have a bar in my house, which I've still got. But all those choices that I was making weren't helping me. So it's really easy to blame your environment for the results that you're currently getting and will always have. It's so easy to do that. You know, I had a guy on a sales call a couple of days ago. He was a crane operator. And he called me and he wanted to join my coaching program, and he was talking about he wanted to lose weight. That was the main thing. So out of interest, why have you come to me to lose weight? I'm not a PT. I'm not a nutritionist. Yeah, but I know it's all in here first, and I've got to shift it in my head first before I sort of join a gym and get a diet plan. I was like, yeah, okay. So we had a bit of crack, and I said to him, so tell me what it is. Why is it now that you need help with losing this weight? Well, I'm a crane driver, and it's made me fat. And I was like, driving cranes doesn't make you fat. That's you're just joining them and putting food in your mouth makes you fat, and sitting still. You're a crane driver, and he didn't get it. He just wouldn't have it. He would not buy it. Then he started blaming his job and his employer, and he's going to sue him and all this. And I was like, no, mate. No. Look, this relationship's not going to work if you can't take responsibility for the results that you're getting. Then I don't really see a way forward, a way we're going to get past this. So we ended that, and he's going to come back in a few months, and we'll see where he's at then.
That's the thing. He's obviously not at that point in his life right now.
He's got a long way to go, hasn't he? I'm reading Grant Cardone's book at the minute, 10X. I don't know if you've read that one. Quite a popular book, and he talks a lot about people playing the victim, about people blaming their families. Exactly what you said about all their things that are wrong in their life. And there's always blame on somebody else, something else. I know, how important do you think it is that you need to take control of everything that's happening around you? Because he does talk about that as well.
It's the number one thing to everything, to unlocking everything, is if you can take responsibility for everything, for all the results you've ever had in your life. If you can do that, if you've got the power to do that and truly mean it, not just say it because you're on a podcast or because you're on an interview or whatever. If you truly believe that, it just gives you the power back. I got burgled about, when was it now? About 18 months ago. My commercial unit where I kept all my tools and equipment got broke into and everything got stolen. The whole lot, they cleaned us out. And the police came and they was like, oh, I bet you're pissed off, mate. I said, well, no, I've got to take responsibility for this. And he was like, what? Don't you want to go and cut the fuck's head off? I'll tell you it is. And this people is going to tell me who the guy was that had done it. I didn't have any CCTV. I didn't have any alarms. I'm insured. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And I didn't have any closed down checks at the units. It's my fault. I've got to take responsibility for that. And he was like, that's mad. But because of that, I get to choose how I feel, and I get to take the power back from that event happening. Yeah. And I do that throughout my whole life. I take responsibility for the drink that I had. I don't blame my employer. I blame myself. All those choices that I made to give me the results I was getting at the time and the life I was leading were all choices that I made myself.
That's very powerful. Yeah, it's really, really powerful. So Paul, you've clearly got a lot of success. You've got two that I'm aware of, that we're aware of, very successful businesses. So where you are now, were you like a one-man band to start off with? Did you have a team behind you? Like, what was the journey between getting to you, if you were a one-man band, to where you are now in terms of having people around you? What was that journey?
A very, very interesting one. Let me just get. Sorry, 2 seconds. So when I start, as I say, I left.
Prop then. Yeah, I thought it was a prop to the story.
No, when I left my employer in it was March 2018. I ran a part of this business. I was the operations manager for this part, and was the director? Yeah, he was the director of the business. Came over to us and he said, "Look, Paul, we need to make some cuts in the business. Can you design this redundancy procedure? We need to get rid of the chaff." Right, okay. We want you to lead with it, and this is how we're going to do it. And they set out this plan, and this plan was, I want you to. I've got to be careful what I say here. I don't know who's listening. What I want you to do is interview everybody for their jobs, basically, and we'll make everybody reapply. We'll interview people for their jobs, and we'll score them as a normal interview would be scored. And I thought, yeah, okay. Now there was me and one other operations manager in the business. This other operations manager that was in the business, he knew how to pass an interview, but he wasn't as good as me. And I went into my interview. I turned up in a tracksuit, and the director was like, "All right, Paul." Yeah, I'm all right. And he said to me, "Can you tell us about a time?" Because I was getting interviewed for my job. He knew what he wanted to do. He said, "Can you tell us about a time when you implemented change in this?" And I was like, nah. Don't panic, Paul. Don't panic. There's no pressure. Take your time. He goes, we'll come back to that. When you implemented a new safety measure. Nah, can't think of anything. And he was like, fuck. And he realised what I'd done. And he was like, oh no, Paul wants to leave. He goes, and he said to me, I knew as soon as I saw that tracksuit that there was something wrong. And I said, well, let's talk redundancy packages. So I got paid off quite handsomely. I got just short of 40 grand. Nice. And I thought that 40 grand is going to be able to see me over until I can do something with this. And it was at that point where I thought, I'll get into property. I knew, as I said, I went and did that training with Stephen. I knew Stephen from the military. And I got in touch with Stephen and we did some training together. And I went out and started my property journey. And I had this money and I thought, I don't really want to put it into property. I want my own construction company. I'm a builder, I'm a bricklayer by trade. And I want to use them skills. I've been an office waller for the last sort of 8 years and I just wanted to do something. I just had that urge. So I took the money and I went and bought a transit van. I'm very impulsive, by the way. It's bordering reckless. I went and bought a brand new transit van, just threw the money at it. And I put a little card in Tesco's window saying building services, and my number. And the phone rang the same day. And it was a girl from a village near us. And it was a little boy's birthday. She rang me on the Thursday, and it was a boy's birthday on the Sunday. Bought him a TV and a bracket for his birthday. And she said, "Can you put that on his headboard in his bed?" He had bunk beds, and the downstairs, the lower bunk. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, the lower bunk. She said, "Can you put it on the headboard? It can lay in bed and watch telly." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I went round and I put this telly up and she gave me 40 quid. And I thought, okay, now this is all right. It took me 5 minutes, 40 quid in 5 minutes. Self-employed, this is where it's at for me. So anyway, the phone rang again the next day and somebody wanted a garden wall. So I went round and did this garden wall. Then I did another garden wall. Then there was a couple of other garden walls and bits and bobs and refelting of a shed roof. This is only 2 years ago now, well, just over 2 years ago. And then this guy rang me from the next village and said, "Can you do an extension?" And I thought, oh, yeah. How do I price this up? So I got in touch with a QS mate of mine and he sort of showed me some really, really basic things that I could then move and use to apply to this thing. And so I priced up this extension and I started digging the footings out and I thought, I need help doing this or I'm going to be here for fucking ever. So I got a labourer in, and this labourer, Jesus fucking God, he was unbelievable, this kid. He turned up on his first day with no shoes on, just socks. And I was like, "Mate, where's your shoes?" "You have to provide them. You're my employer." And I thought, oh God, here we go. I've got to write one. Anyways, and this extension, the client, he was a really, really great guy. And I thought, this is a real opportunity for me now to sort of step back and be the business owner. So I took a bricklayer on. I got on Indeed and I asked for a brickie. Loads of applications came in, loads of them. And this one particular guy started the same day. And he came and he actually knew the labourer with no shoes. So they built this extension together. And whilst they were doing it, I thought, well, while they're doing that, what am I going to do? So I started winning more work. And so I advertised I joined Checker Trade, again, a bit recklessly and impulsively. I just rang up and sort of paid the fee. There's another story behind joining Checker Trade as well, but we won't go into that. Then again, My Builder, Rated People, all these advertising portals. I had cards in the newspaper, Yellow Pages. I had no idea what I was doing, marketing and advertising. I just threw shit at everything and waited for stuff to stick. And then before I knew it, we had HMO conversions coming in, we had flips coming in. And they tended to be sort of property strategists, and that's how I fell into the property space, as it were. And I got into working with these property folk, and coming from the background that I'd come from in the corporate construction space, I only know one way how to do a construction project, and that's to do it formally and contractually. I don't actually know how to wing it, so I don't actually know at what level people do actually wing it. So when when I'm talking to these property professionals that I deem them to be, I found it really difficult to be like, listen, mate, where's your program? And they go, what? Oh, where's your specification? And they go, what the fuck's one of them? I go, well, I need information, mate, to be able to do the job for you. Oh, we ain't got time for that. And it was like, what? What do you mean? And I just did not get it. I didn't get it at all. So we went on holiday to Turkey, me and Lisa, that same year, this was last year. Last August it was. We was on the beach and it was, right, where are we taking this construction business? What are we going to do with it? Are we going to go big, or we're going to start building our own homes? What should we do? What should we do with it? Or should we just buy our own properties and renovate them and just self-generate business? And I was like, do you know what? I think I want to go back to residential property because it's more profitable. There's less chew, and there's no sort of onus in terms of producing the information that we need on the residential domestic customer. Mrs. Miggins, as I call them. When you're training, you hear me use that phrase a lot. When it got to Lisa saying to me, so what should we do? Are we just going to fuck it all off, all these professional property developers? And I was like, listen, I can't work with them. They're all fucking lunatic. They're all doing everything on a handshake. They're all winging it, and I can't take it. And she's going, well, you can't just cut off an income stream from the business like that. And I was like, well, what are we going to do? Because they frustrate the shit out of me. And she goes, well, right, everything that you know, everything that they need, why don't you put together a training course and deliver that training? And I thought, hey, you know what? There's something in that. So I was a training instructor in the military. I loved coaching and I loved teaching. It was the best part of my career. I loved it. And she knew that. So it was, right, well, let's form this thing. Let's create this training academy. So again, reckless me. I said, oh, well, fuck it, let's do it. So she booked me a hotel in Hull from Turkey, and we organised an event from the beach in Turkey, like these free events that people put on.
Yeah.
We put this thing on, and 30 odd people came, and we sold the course out completely, which was great. The course didn't even fucking exist at this point. It was all in there still. So on the plane on the way back, I started creating the content for the presentation, and we got it. We got it nailed for the next day. Then the plane was delayed as well on the way back, and we was like, "Oh no, we've arranged this event for the day we land, and we're late. We're going to be late." So we had to hightail it up to the hotel to deliver this presentation. But yeah, that was great. That was the start of it, and now I feel.
Pretty full on involved at the beginning as well, Paul, because I know like Lisa's really into the compliance side of things. And was that always the case from the beginning, or did that just kind of evolve, naturally?
That's always been the case. She's a fucking pain in my ass. We call her the compliance police in the business, or the fun police, shall we say?
Have those. Every partnership has to have one.
That's the I'm the reckless.
Yeah, when people ask me they'll ask Lisa what she does, what's her role in the business, her usual line is, well, I have to stop Paul jumping from scaffold to scaffold. And like I said, my reckless nature is I'm just like that. I do take chances, and without that sort of not moral compass, but safety compass that sits on my shoulder saying, look, you can't do that. And it was, oh, fuck's sake. And she keeps us right, and I need that. I do need that. And she's the wheel that steers the ship, as we say.
That's
awesome. I like that one.
So you identified there through your own experiences that there was a massive problem in the market in that kind of residential property construction business, and you sort of created a product essentially to try and solve that problem. How big is that problem, do you think, across the UK, in that industry?
I think it's absolutely enormous. But the problem is people don't know they've got the problem.
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly, because there's so many people winging it. There's so many people doing it that way. And I'll jump in some of these property groups on Facebook, and the shit I read, honestly, I try my hardest not to have negative thoughts about it. I'm reading Jay Shetty's book at the minute, How to Live Life Like a Monk. It is fantastic. And that was actually this morning's lesson. You do a negativity audit on yourself, and every negative thought that comes into your head, you have to write it down for the day. And you get to the end of the day, and it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm a positive person, and I've got fucking down here.
I'd be scared, yeah.
So I mean, you know, full transparency. What like I always try and put across to people that I'm honest, and you know, since watching your stuff, it made me realise our lack of kind of knowledge and experience, because we haven't ever done it. So you don't just get experience, but our knowledge when it comes to that stuff. And I say that stuff because, you know, it is a minefield to me. It certainly feels like, you know, I've got a lot to learn. We've got a lot to learn. Our business has got a lot to learn. And we see the massive value. The only way to do that is, you know, is to invest in our education and surround ourselves with people like you, you know, to build that knowledge. And, you know, I've heard you say in previous lives before how, you know, as a property strategist, you know, you're always thinking about the front end and the back end, and, you know, you're never really thinking about the bit in the middle, which is where all the money is made. And, you know, that's taking the words out of your mouth from one of your previous lives, but that's so true. Like that is, you know, that is so true. And thankfully, you know, we're really early into our kind of, you know, property journey. So, you know, I'm genuinely looking forward to getting up there to your neck of the woods and getting on that training.
So why is it then, do you think, that these property education courses don't focus on that really important area of compliance in the construction kind of sector?
It's compliance and scheduling and programming and everything.
Yeah, not just compliance.
Yeah.
It's a different industry completely. You know, people, whilst they're closely linked, you know, I can't think of an analogy off the top of my head. I guess it's like a skydiver that doesn't know how to fly the plane. That was quick, wasn't it? I like that. I'm having that one as well.
Nice.
You know, they don't, like we keep saying, people don't know what they don't know. And when what I love more than anything is when a client comes to us to ask us some construction work, and when we're asking for this information and they genuinely don't know what I'm asking for, but they want to know. I love that.
Yeah.
But, we've got two guys they're in our coaching community. They haven't done the training course with us, but we're doing a project for them. We are their builder, and they're the client and the distance investor as well. These guys they're like sponges. It's absolutely fantastic to see and watch them soaking it all up and using the things that we're giving them as a client, and the way that we're guiding them and leading them through this project, to see them implement that onto another project. That's going to be great to see.
And there might be some people who watch this who think, well, maybe I don't think that is my job as a property investor to do all that. Maybe that's the kind of builder's job. What would you say to that?
No, I get it. I totally get that. I've had clients like that in the past, even in the corporate space. But let me ask you this: if that was the case, whose money is it that's involved?
Yeah,
it's your money, isn't it?
Right.
So your profit and returns is wholly dependent upon how long that project takes. So if you have a project that your numbers stack to 6 weeks, there's absolutely no way on God's green earth that I would let the builder write the program. I'd be writing the program that says, look, you've got to do it in 6 weeks, because that's what my numbers say. Now, if you let the builder do it, he's under no obligation or any sort of, that'll become a hospital job, as we call it, the rainy day work, because there'll be another project down the road where there is a program, where they are contracted to do it in a period, and that will get their attention. Your job will happen when they can fit it in. And, and this is, so many times I hear things like, oh, my builder didn't turn up, I ain't seen him for a week. That's why that's happening. You haven't contracted, you haven't put a program in place, you're not holding anybody accountable. There's no sort of penalties or anything at all in place to ensure that that's delivered in the period that you expected it to. So if it's your project, it's your money, it's your program, it's your time, it's your build cost, it's your everything. If that was me and that's my property, I'm owning all of that. No way would I let someone else do it. No way.
No.
People don't realize what the cost of overrun is, but when you start working it out, it's a fucking fortune. If your project runs over by a week, let's say it runs over by a month, it's easier. You've got a month of wages to pay for yourself. You've got to be paying yourself from the project and not the profit. So you've got to cover your own time, your own wages. You've got an extra month in council tax, insurance, utilities, any services that guys are charging batteries from, using gas, using water. So all the services that they're actually using. And the biggest one is the property is not finished. So if it's not finished for another month, you've just lost a month in rent, or you've lost an evaluation date, or you've lost something. So we're not talking a couple of 50, 60 quid by running over by a month. You're talking thousands. But people they never factor that in. They never look at the cost of time. Never, in my experience.
Yeah, so important. And a lot of people look at big kind of development projects and think about JVing with builders. Is that something you do, and do you see any benefit in doing that sort of thing, like the info JV, bringing the experience, the expertise, that sort of thing, both sides?
Yeah, absolutely. I think JVs. I think JVs go wrong when you form the JV with the two partners with the same skill set. I don't see the point in it at all. A JV for me, you want opposing skill sets. You want to be bringing something different to the table. There's no point having two partners with loads of time and no money, or loads of money and no time, or two builders with no money. It doesn't sit right. You want someone that can do the build, someone that's got the time to manage it, and someone that can finance it. If you bring those three parties to the table, you've got it nailed. Money, time, and experience. They're the three parts of the triangle for me.
Yeah, some great answers there. Right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to a different section. You've already mentioned that you were in the army, and I think in your last sentence when you said gash, for any of the civies out there, that's not a civvy word, is it?
It's a rude word in civistry, I think, but in the military it just means rubbish.
I forget though. Like literally, I joined at 16, so I don't know what the difference is between civvy language and Jack speak military language. But so, Paul, you were obviously in the army. How long did you do, by the way?
14 years.
14 years. And did you see much action during that time? Was any memorable kind of deployment?
I'll just say no.
Okay, right, moving on. So I guess really the main question is, and you probably get asked it quite a lot from your time in the military, but I guess what's the main attributes that you took away from the military after 14 years? Was there any main attributes that you feel, helped excel you in your kind of entrepreneurial kind of business, career thereafter?
Discipline has to be the first. Definitely. And the one thing that it did give me was a regimented thought process. So whenever I think of something, I think of it it has a sequence, it has everything has an order. That can be a weakness as well, in that I don't like to deviate from how something should be done.
Very process driven, we could say.
Process orientated. I have, the team around me can they can do it, and that's what they're there for. I have a sort of this must be done now, and this must be done there, and that must be done there, and then that's next, and that's next. But the guys can do all this, and that's what they're there for. So discipline and the thought process, they're the biggest two attributes, I think, from the military.
And did you leave because you chose to, because you wanted to just do other things, or was that just you had enough? What was the reason you kind of moved into Civ Street? We can move on.
No. It's a long story, but I was married at the time to my first wife, and we split up when I was down in Gibraltar Barracks in Surrey. That would have been 2003, I think, something like that. No, I was in Cyprus then. So 2005. Yeah, we split up in 2005. And she moved up to Cleethorpes and took my kids with her. For me, it was, I can commute at the weekends. It's a long drive, but I started doing it. Started to take a toll on me, and I thought, do you know what? There's more to life than this military. And I started on the dating sites and drinking again, and it was a fucking nightmare. I just got myself into so much trouble with women and booze and fucking partying, and it was just it was never going to end well. So I just made the decision off the back of a mate's Fucking hell, embarrassing. Well, we were actually sat on the piss in the naffy the one night, and a mate of mine that I was sat with was like, "Yeah, I'm signing off tomorrow." I was like, "Fuck it, I will as well then." And just like that, went and signed off, and it was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll leave." So I left, and you have to give your notice and that. And then on the the CT, I don't know if they still do it, the CTW when you leave,
Yes.
the career training workshop. So I was sat in that. I had no idea what I was going to do when I left. Absolutely no idea. And I was sat, this is all in my book list, so but I'll do the spoiler now. And we sat in the CTW, and Big Fat John walks in, the instructor, and he's wobbled in, and he goes, he was late as well, and I jokingly said 5 minutes before John, and he looked at me, he was like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" Oh, this guy's in charge here. So he went around the room and, what does everybody want to do for a living when they leave? And I had no idea. And this guy that I decided to sign off with when we was on the piss, he was sat next to me, and he went first. And he said, I'm going to be a construction manager, this guy said. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds all right." So when he asked me, I said, "I'm going to be a construction manager." And the guy next to me, Joe, he was like, "That's what I'm doing." And I went, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing as well." He said, "You've only just fucking decided that." And I went, "Yeah." and then we applied for the same job, and I got it and he didn't. He still doesn't speak to me to this day. Never mind.
So moving into like some of your projects, so we want you to have a think about what your most memorable project in terms of not necessarily like the most lucrative or like profit driven, but just that gave you like the most satisfaction.
Oh, now then, I've got so many I could tell you about. In fact, fuck it, I'll tell you the funniest one. I was on a project in the Cotswolds down in what was the name of the village now? It might come to me. And it was at the start of the year, so it was freezing cold, sort of January time. And I hunt rabbit, deer, wildlife. And this particular site I was on, the labour was from Moldova. And this particular site that we had, it was all cabins, all containers where all our materials were stored. And this one night, the farmer that we was working on his property, and he came out and said to me, "Do you fancy going out shooting tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." So we went out that night, and we got a deer, and we took it back to the container, and we hung. You have to hang a deer so it drains and relaxes, so it can be. I won't go into that. And we've got the deer hanging in the container, and we walked out, came back the next day, and started skinning it. And it was dark. I had a head torch on at the time and an apron, so I didn't get claret all over me. And I was using a proper cleaver. And this guy, one of these Moldovans, we didn't know he was sleeping in the container, so he didn't have to pay for digs. And he opens the door, and I turn to him behind the deer, and the head torch goes on him. I've got a cleaver in one hand. There's a deer hanging from the other hand, and he ran off screaming, this Moldovan guy, and he took all the labour with him, and we never saw him again. This project was halfway through. All the guys had quit. We was like, shit. All I was bothered about was going to get reported to my boss, but that was fun.
I bet you've got some dits. I bet you've got some.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it clean.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, so we're just going to move on to sort of the training side of things now. So you sort of dropped in that your kind of previous experience as a military training instructor sort of held you in good stead. What did you bring from that into the training business?
Well, it's just the approach and the confidence and the skills to be able to stand in front of a crowd in class and teach. I used to train groups of sort of 40 recruits in combat engineering, which was minefield clearance, demolitions, water supply, bridging, basic field craft, which would be sort of using power tools, hand tools, tying knots, believe it or not. little scout leader that I was. Could never do the ball line, fucking thing.
Bowling.
Ball line, I could never do it. Hey, it's a navy knot, isn't it? Ball line.
Bunny ears, a different story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and having them skills to be able to teach and present, they just went. The transition was natural, but I did it through my professional construction career as well. So delivering sort of toolbox talks to the guys on site and briefings and safety presentations, financial reports, things like that. It was always in me, and I enjoy doing it. I do enjoy doing it. I love peacocking around in a classroom and giving it some.
Yeah, and that's important, isn't it? Getting that satisfaction out of what you do, and that reward from seeing people progress and putting into action the stuff that you tell them, I guess.
Yeah.
What's been your main kind of challenges from creating and running and managing and the whole shebang with a training business? What's been the main challenges from that? I expect there's been lots.
Yeah, for me personally, it was it was obviously the first time you sort of put yourself out there. You're waiting for all the wankers to come out of the woodwork and he's another fucking trainer here. Look, he's going to come and charge us 20 grand for a course and all this. Yeah. I've had it all, and it just doesn't, it doesn't faze me at all now. But the fear of it happening was always there before I did it. But the fear's a fucker, isn't it? It's one of the causes of procrastination because you feel that fear. And if you can just be present and forget about the future, you can't feel fear. It's not possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that was the biggest challenge. Was sort of putting myself out there. But now it's like, have I done too much? Have I been on done too many videos today? What's the crack here?
That's the thing. You put yourself on a pedestal, and people will try to knock you off that. If you had a lot of negativity on social media, and when you do get something, because we all inevitably get that, but the more you put yourself out there, the more you get. How do you deal with that?
In all honesty, I haven't had any, and I don't like saying that because it makes me feel a little bit guilty. But I haven't had it. I haven't not at all. I had one guy once on a sponsored ad, so there was no relationship. I didn't know him. He's just commented on a sponsored ad that he'd seen, and it was something like, "You can't teach me anything, you fucking dickhead," or something like that. And I was just comments, and that's it. I truly believe now, going through the journey, we've said it again, that I've gone through, is there's no such thing as. I don't believe there's any such thing as negative people. My friend Brad Burton, I don't know if you know Brad Burton, he did a dip the other day about 2 hotel room doors. One says positive on it and one says negative on it on the door. Which room would you go in? Which door would you go in? Everybody's going to go in the positive door, aren't they? Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, how the fuck are there any rooms with negative people in them? It's crazy. Mm-hmm. I think that people's comments, the things that people say, they're just doing the best with what they've got. Mm-hmm. They can only deal with their view of the world, and they become negative by the we make them negative. Mm-hmm. The feeling we have about the things that they've said and done is what's negative. They're not being negative. They're human behavior is subconsciously is always positive intent. Nobody does anything with any negative intent. You don't wake up in the morning and say, "I'm going to fuck up today." You don't do that, do you? It's that when we say that he's being negative, that's our opinion of their method of operation. Mm-hmm. And that's something else. It took me a while to get my head around that, but it's really when you can do that as well. That's also a real powerful thing, real liberating thing.
It's interesting how you say you've not had any negative, feedback, and I think that probably speaks volumes of itself. Really, the fact that because there is, a lot of negative kind of press with what I've seen anyway so far in training companies, and I think the fact that I think that your credibility and your experience and everything that you've got behind you, I think it's, probably, comes across in spades, but it's probably why you've not had any negative feedback. Because I don't know, I guess the negativity can come from, there's lots, I guess, in the industry, especially in the property. And from what I can kind of understand, it's mostly people kind of look at people that have started quite quickly in the training like industries and stuff, and jumping into it maybe before they've got that credibility that like someone like you has absolutely got in bucket loads. So yeah.
I think the property industry gets the press that it gets because they promise things that they can't deliver. Sort of in general terms, I'm not going to promise anybody I can make them a millionaire because I fucking can't. Yeah. The only thing I can promise you is you'll get everything off me. Everything. If I know it, I will pass that on to you. And I'm not going to promise you any sort of outcome. The only thing I can give you is how to do something, how to deliver an effective, efficient, compliant project. That's my business model. That's the strap line of everything that I teach. Now, if I teach you that and then you don't implement that, that's on you. But with this money thing, I saw one the other day, 0 to 20 million in 6 months. What the fucking hell is that all about? There's no wonder he's getting. If he can do that, why aren't he doing it himself instead of selling 500 quid courses? Honestly.
Yeah.
I think to myself, crazy. There's no wonder people get bad press when they're making claims like that. Because that's just not happening. It's not happening.
No. And it's preying on vulnerable people as well, because there's a lot of people who just click on that because they need money and they want money and success.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to talk a bit about marketing. So you initially said that you knew shit all about marketing, you just threw it at the wall and see what stuck, sort of thing. But we've both commented recently that your marketing is absolutely spot on. And would like to sort of mimic in a way some of the things that you're doing. So tell us about your marketing strategy now, and what exactly you're doing.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, 100%. We started using it.
I'm still doing that. I'm still throwing it at the wall.
No, your marketing is bang on. It's really, really good, really, really professional, really credible. Just I
think one of your emails has just pinged into our inbox again. So
that's it. I don't have a strategy. I genuinely don't. That's the short answer. I have a plan for things I'm going to do, and maybe that appears to be strategic, but it's not. So I have a marketing column in my planner. And today I had to schedule out 7 emails into the email chain, schedule out 7 posts into the Train Academy, and start a new Boots on the Ground sponsored ad. That's it. And that just, when I look at that plan, it's like, right, what can I do? And then I call upon. I think what makes me unique, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet with this, but what makes me unique is I don't create content. I regurgitate experience. And I think that's totally different than someone that sits sort of trying to think up what can we write today? Yeah. Or what can we write this morning? If I'm writing it means it's just happened to me, or it's happened this week or last week. Or if I do a post about confidence, I did it tonight. That was as a result of a conversation I just had. And that's where I get it all from. That is everything that I share is experience. It's none of it's created.
But I mean, even when you said then about, sorry, Paul, go on.
We lost you then.
I don't have a plan at all.
You're very, very good at that repurposing side of things as well. Like I think all of your content, everything, how you portray it is very slick, is very professional. But then you do back it up with, I got one of your emails earlier on, and it was about one of the lives that I think you'd done, and then you'd already like linked it back into all of your different platforms, and I was like, now this is so good, like just on it, like we're all busy, and even just putting together small bits and pieces of content or documenting stuff, whatever but you're consistently on it, and I think it really, really shines through.
And it's also relevant content. I know you said you repurposed a lot of things that have happened to you, but here's a problem I've had.
Yeah.
This is how I dealt with it. Click on my link and watch the video. Yeah, I like that, and I'm going to click on that because that's going to be useful for me. And it's definitely resonated with us, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. So just to move on a little bit more. So with obviously your courses that you do, and you do your mentorship, and you've got a private mentorship group, haven't you? And I guess really the question is, do you find any, not difficulties with mentorship, but the challenges again, but is there anything, you know, like mentoring somebody, whether it's one-on-one or as a group, I can imagine is quite, not exhausting, but it can take quite a lot out of you, I guess. So, you know, do you find that is the case? Are you quite selective over who you bring in? I can imagine you are, into your kind of mentorship circle, so to speak.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's exhausting. I absolutely love it. I love it. I love that more than anything. You know, see the group of, I think there's 40. There was 44 guys in there now, in the mentorship group, and when they came, we did everything's done on video, so we've got a point of reference to look back to. And when I see the growth between when they first joined until where they are now, started the 1st of June, so we're sort of 3.5 months in now. When we look back, because we do a review of where you was and where you are now, and to see the difference is fucking unreal. Is it exhausting? No, I don't think it is. I don't think you can be exhausted by something that you love, by something that you're doing. It just fuels the energy for me. It's what keeps me going, almost. I can't imagine how it would be to sort of try and engage a group that didn't respond or failed in not failed, didn't achieve what they wanted to achieve. I can imagine that being exhausting, you know, flogging a dead horse type scenario. But no, the guys and they really do pull together and sort of they egg each other on. It wasn't like that to start with. Obviously, that relationship's been built and formed over the last few months. But to see the growth in the guys now, you know, we're talking about we've got an event coming up in 11 days, and they're all getting geared up for public speaking. And you know, before they won't even do a Facebook Live when they first started. So see them go from that to they're going to be on stage teaching is just fucking fab.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think I already know the answer to this question, but you know, if you had to do professionally one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? Would it be laying bricks? Would it be on a site managing a project? Would it be training? Would it be mentoring? What would it be? I'd
be coaching and mentoring 100%. I actually toyed with closing my construction business down during COVID. Where it was like, look, this is a good time to do it. Let's wrap it all up. And we'll put our attention on the training academy. Two of the guys were like, Paul, half of your credibility of being a construction trainer is that you have a construction business. You take that away and you're going to lose half your credibility. And I was like, nah. And they were like, I'm fucking telling you. So right, let's keep it open. So we kept it open and weathered the storm through COVID. And during COVID, we secured our biggest largest single project during that period, and it was mad how it happened. It was like, yeah, come and price this up for us, and we sort of were like, shall we, shan't we? Do we want to take on this big project or not? And we did in the end, and it's going great guns. And we're creating. It's the one where I said to you, I think it was you, Lucy, said go inside. It was that one.
Yeah.
So that.
That's a big project. That.
Yeah, and it was. Shall we do it? Shall we not? Shall we do it? And it's going really, really well. And I'm getting lots and lots of content from that I wouldn't have had we not had that business or that project. You know, I'd be doing something somewhere else, but that's been it's been next level stuff. So it's been great.
Do you think a lot of construction businesses, companies weren't able to weather the storm of COVID? Do you think a lot, like generally speaking, do you think there's been a lot lost during COVID?
Yeah, I do, and you know, sadly, I think there's a lot of sharks that have took the bounce back because it was so easy to get your hands on and then wrap the businesses in. I'm really looking forward to seeing the statistics at the end of the first year when all that money starts having to get paid back as to, you know, the number of businesses that took that bounce back and folded. I'm going to imagine that percentages are going to be really, really high, and that's sad, really. You know, there's nothing I can do about that. It doesn't impact my world or anything. So it's not something I really put any thought into. But I think whilst construction businesses may have folded, the builder's still alive. So, you know, they will just rise up somewhere else under a different banner. And hopefully it won't impact the industry too much.
And, obviously COVID came around first time around, no one was prepared for it. And, a lot of us were adversely affected. Obviously, we're going now into another winter period and potentially a resurgence. Is there anything you've been doing business-wise to try and prepare for going into potentially another lockdown later this year and, a reduction in business coming through the doors?
Nah. Told you I'm reckless. I just live for the week, mate.
Just wing it.
Wing it, it'll be right. Yeah, I don't think you start planning for that. You'll be ruled by fear. Shall we do this? Yeah. I just like to just get on with stuff.
Just take
live
it
your best. Yeah.
Best foot forward and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
You got a compliance question?
I could probably find a compliance question, couldn't I? Because I like that. I guess one thing I'd like to ask is, if you could just give one tip to property investors of how they can approach a project in the right way, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
One tip would I give to property investors when approaching a project in the right way?
Go on, your call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that I could think of now. What would your listeners get the most value from? I think it would have to be, it's got to be the refurb. Forget putting all your energy into saving 500 quid on a purchase price, or arguing with your valuer at the back end over a fucking £1,000.
Yeah.
Put your energy where it matters in that refurb, in the bit where the money is a variable. Whether it's so variable that you get that wrong, and that project is dead. So many people I see, I haggled this and I haggled that, and I got 500 quid off, and I got £1,000 off, and I got 1,500 off, and the purchase price was this, and I got it for this, and it's going to revalue at this, and it's going to revalue at that. Okay, mate, how much is the refurb? It's going to be about 20 grand. And you think, fucking what? Where you just pulled that from? And it absolutely baffles me. It really does. I think it was it Eckhart Tolle or Napoleon Hill that said, when energy flows, where attention goes, energy flows and results show. And that's it. That's where your energy needs to be. It needs to be in that refurb. It's got to be.
That attention to detail.
Yeah, it's madness to go into that blind guessing or some fucking bullshit square meter rate that I can't now. You're going to set me off on a tangent. Some trainers taught them on a property course, which is another reason they get a bad name. That house is 100 square meters. Oh, well, the refurb's 25 grand, and it's like, what the fuck have you built that on?
You see it all the time, though. People put in the comment, asking the questions in the big property groups, like, how much will a 3-bedroom terrace house cost a refurb? What?
The worst part of the questions? I understand the person that's asked the question because they don't know. It's the wankers that reply. That's going to be 6,800 quid, love, and you think, what have you just said? That poor person now thinks that that's real and thinks that's good advice, and they go and use it. They use that number to stack their deal up, and for fuck's sake. It's like me saying, how much is it going to be to fill my shopping trolley? It's the exact same thing. Well, it depends what you put in it, mate.
Yeah.
Depends what shop you're going to. Of course it does. And it's the same with a refurb.
Yeah. Analogy.
Nuts.
Top tips. Right, what's next? What's next for Paul Tinker?
I don't know let me just see where we're at with this, because we've got NDAs in place on this one thing, but I will have a quick look. He has texted me today. Oh no, we're not ready yet. We've got something big in the pipeline. I'm hoping to come out in the new year.
You had a first there as well.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so our podcast is now out. It's geared around mindset and not around construction. I do enough construction talking, as it were. We've got what is next for me? The next thing for me is a one-to-one mentorship group that launches. Is it tomorrow? No, Thursday Thursday that launches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be, we're going to be ramming so much value into that for as little cost as what we possibly can, because that's been a big thing for me as well. Our group, mentorship group, is 60 quid. And it's like, people that come into it, they go, fuck me, I was paying $1,000 for less than this last year. And it was, well, I would much rather give value and that experience to as many people as what I can than I get 4 in there paying 1,000 quid. You know, it doesn't work for me. So our one-to-one program is going to be sort of the same thing, and we're going to be putting, I can't say yet because we haven't done the announcement, but that's going to be rammed with value, and whatever I can get in there is going in.
And where can people find that, or is that going to be? Are you going to drop that when you launch it? So
that'll be invite only. It's going to be invite only from members of the group that we have already. So we have the group's called the PMX, the group that we have, and the one-to-one version, I think we're going to call it the Select, and then we're going to pick 8 people out of that. We've had more than that want to join it, but we're only going to work at 8 because, as you say, the exhaustion that you get from doing that. Doing that coaching all the time, you know, I've got a life as well as businesses to run. So yeah.
And where can people find the PMX group? Where is that? So is that open to people? Can people still join that, or is that closed down now?
That's closed down now. Unless you do a training, then it's not something that we're going to offer out to the masses anymore. When I first started, I had this vision of 100 people in it. It got to 30 and it was a lot of work. Then it got to 40 and it became more work. And it was like, I'm not doing 100. I'm going to people will lose the value. It would have been easy for me to say, let's just keep getting them in, get them through the doors. It's important to me that they get the value, and I can deliver what I said I was going to do. You know, because I'm either doing what I said I would do, or I'm going to make an excuse. It's one or the other. You know, and if I stop delivering and that value lowers, then I'm making an excuse, aren't I? Or there's too many of you.
And it just turns into that conveyor belt, I guess, which
I don't want that.
Yeah, you don't get the intimacy from something smaller than, you know, compared to the big training companies out there just rolling people through.
Yeah.
Penny. Yeah. So, okay. So, when is your next course? What's your next course dates in terms of that have still got places available?
So our diary for the rest of the year is 26th of September. We have a networking event in Hull. That is it 26th? Yeah, 26th. It's COVID secure. It's a 200 capacity room, and we've got 50 places. There was 50 tickets sold. I think there's about 4 left or something like that. Okay. I've got some great speakers coming to that. There's Paul Million, as you'll know Paul.
Paul.
Steve Dunn. I don't know if you know Steve. Steve's speaking.
Yeah.
Lisa's speaking, and I'll do a cameo appearance, I'm sure.
If they're looking.
Yeah. And after that, we have a training on the 9th of October. That's called Boots on the Ground. That is a one-day training. I think there's 1 place left on that. I think.
So the website that I've got going along the bottom, is that the right website? I'll put all of your links on afterwards in the comments.
Yeah. So that's the home page, and then the Boots on the Ground is a page that sits alongside it. You can't get to it from there. So we can. You just type in after the slash and then Boots on the Ground, hyphenated between each word. Then we've got the bronze training, which is the 5-day project management training, which you was on, which you've rearranged. That is
push that right a little bit.
2nd of November, I think that is.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I think that's it for this year.
Yeah,
it is. That's it for this year. Yeah. And I don't want to be one of these that's doing a fucking course every 2 weeks and that. I'll do 4 bronzes a year, I think, and then a Boots on the Ground probably 6 times a year, something like that.
Yeah, lots and lots of value being added. Lots of people helped. Well, I think that is pretty much, we're there, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we're there. Paul, thank you so much for coming on our new Tuesday Waves show. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you. Massive amounts of value added, as we knew you would. And you've got a really inspiring and inspiring and motivating story. So thank you for sharing it with everybody. Thank you for sharing your journey.
Yeah, your journey, your mindset.
You're more than welcome. And nobody said pivot, which I'm really pleased about.
Oh God, no. I think a lot of people would aspire to think in the way that you think, and some of the things that you've talked about tonight have been really powerful, and a lot of kind of food for thought for people. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me. Been a pleasure.
Yes, and thank you for everyone that's been on tonight at various points, and for those that catch up on the replay, we'll be repurposing this out next week, and it is on YouTube from now as well. So yeah, I hope everyone has enjoyed this evening. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening and the rest of your week, and remember, whatever you do, enjoy the ride. Cheers, guys.
See you later.